Hey lovelies, so welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Today we're going to be talking about Married to Medicine Reunion Part 1. So I want to talk about some of the key things that I picked up from this reunion. Let's get into today's video. But just before that, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and then let's get into it. So the first thing I want to focus on is Dr. Jackie and the comment she made about Black women. And how that was dealt with at the reunion. What was so interesting that I found was that there was no specific accountability. There was no time where she apologized. It was almost like everyone was like rallying around her, crying about it. And don't get me wrong, I understand why people are crying, because it's like, you've worked so hard. This is the one thing that is constant in your life, and you feel like a comment that was made is now something that everyone is now looking at you as, is this really who you are? Is this something that could ruin her practice? So I really understand that. But what I thought was interesting was there was at no point where she said, I just want to say this is not reflective. I'm sorry. That was not my intention. That was not what I was trying to say. It just seemed like no one really held her feet to the fire. Of course, I'm not about beating people when they're down, but I would have appreciated a more honest dialogue where we can talk about it. If this is some sort of bias that she has or whatever it is, let's be able to talk about it, address it so it doesn't happen again. Instead, it almost feels like it was sort of said as it was said, but it's almost like, oh, okay, we're saying this, and we're sweeping it under the rug and all feeling bad for Jackie because it was a hard time for her. 100% must have been a hard time for her, especially because Jackie, let's be honest, Jackie has poured everything that she has into her work. So it is no surprise that it would be devastating for her. Do I like the way the ladies rallied around her? Absolutely. If I had a friend or had friends, and I was going through something like that, I would hope that my friends would rally around me, even if I made a mistake, right? But what I would have liked to see is also an apology for the mistake that was made and some accountability there. So that was something that I didn't quite like. It just kind of felt like everyone brushed it under the rug and were like giving speeches about Jackie and all of that. So I was just like, those speeches could come and people could still rally around her and be supportive, like group of friends. But I feel like it should have also still been some accountability. I think this is one of the reasons why the show is very different from others, in the sense that they all know they're in the medicine community and what a comment like that can do to someone's business. And someone's livelihood, someone's whole life, right? Someone's whole persona, right? If you think about it, a lot of these doctors, it's become their identity, right? And so I can completely understand, and I understand why everyone pretty much rallied around her and stuff. What I also thought was interesting was everyone reached out to her. She talked about how Simone was there for her. Simone was at her house every single day. I'm not even lying, but that is a good friend. Especially someone that is busy, but will take out time to come and see you every single day. That is a friend. And if Jackie is smart, Jackie will treat her relationship with Simone better than she does. I don't think she really does that enough. Like, when I think about it, I feel like she treats Heavenly better than she treats Simone, which is crazy because think about it. Yes, you said Heavenly was there for you, i.e. she called you, but you didn't talk about her coming to see you. Oh, she can't see me cry. Yes, but that's also an excuse. Even if she can't see you cry, you guys can both cry together. I don't want to see my friends cry, but if they're going through something, I will pull up and we'll all cry together. So that's just a fact. So I don't really understand why Jackie gets a pass Heavenly gets a pass in relation to that, but also in fact why Jackie gets a pass. But yeah, now let's move on to Toya and Quad. So Quad took the opportunity to talk about how she knew she was wrong and she's apologized multiple times. She also said, I want to apologize to you. This is the thing. Now, it could be my personal beliefs on how to apologize, but like, I want to apologize to you. Now, someone could say it's semantics, but it's not. I want to apologize to you is different from I apologize to you. I am sorry. And that's the problem. A lot of her apologies don't come across as genuine because she does a lot of like talking and somehow brings it back to herself. Now, on this occasion, it sounds like she brought it up and did bring it to herself, but she managed to salvage it because of the way she said it. So she said, when they were talking about her sleeping with a contractor, she knew how that felt and she should not have done that to her. And I'm like, yeah, but what of the robbery incident? Are we just like forgetting that as well? Like, Now, I'm a believer of when people apologize, you let it go, right? Of course, you watch them because change behavior is the greatest apology. But once they've said, I'm sorry, I apologize, let it be done. At least you can be civil from then on. That's generally my perspective on things like that, right? Now, of course, it has to be a genuine apology. But in this case, it felt like she was saying, I want to apologize, blah, blah. And me, I was still like, okay, so where is the apology? Still waiting for it. But what I did notice that she did was say she was wrong for that. She shouldn't have done that. That is so wrong. And I appreciated her saying that. So I will give her that. Now, one thing that's very interesting is you apologize in one vein. And Andy tried saying like, oh yeah, you've apologized a few times. And I love how Toya interrupted to say, no, not like that. Not like that. People don't listen very well. And the thing is, if you don't listen very well, you think she's apologized a few times. But if you're on the receiving end of the apology or you're paying attention, then you will know it's never really been an apology. It's always been a bunch of words with no apology in there. And that is not an apology. I don't know where people get off thinking people saying stories and saying, I'm wrong, this is wrong, is an apology. That is not an apology. That is you admitting that you're wrong. But where is the apology? It's like you admit you're wrong, but no apology follows through, right? And so I like how Toya stepped in and said that was, so far, this is the most genuine. And it's interesting because Quad tried to interrupt her. And Toya's like, I'm trying to give you a compliment. And this is the thing. I feel like Quad deep down doesn't like Toya. Now, Toya seems like one of those people where if you give a genuine apology, she would be willing to move on. Why do I say that? Anila did so many things with Quad. The difference between her and Anila is Anila apologized, right? And then Toya forgave. So I feel like if Quad had done that since, it would not have dragged out as long as it has. But the problem is Quad does not like to apologize, does not know how to apologize, it seems, and somehow tries to bring it back to herself, which can be exhausting. Like, if I was Quad's friend, I would be exhausted because I'm like, okay, so you say all of that to say, are you sorry? Like, where is the sorry at the end? Nonetheless, I'm hoping that Toya and Quad can move forward now that she's giving, I want to apologize. And it seems that Toya received it. So if it's good for them, then that's cool. Now, one thing I want to shift gears a little bit to the Napa trip. So during the Napa trip, Quad apparently told Toya that she was there to support her. But then in the same vein, said to the rest of the girls, she's only there for the check. So which is it? And this is why people don't fool with you, Quad. No one wants to feel, this is a different dynamic. I feel like Quad will fit in more with a different reality TV show. Married to Medicine is based on a group of friends, right? And not necessarily just friends, but friendlies, friends and friendlies, right? In the sense that I might not be your friend, but we have enough of a community that if something is going wrong or going on, we all sort of come together and support and back you up. That is the sort of dynamic these women have. So if you want to be in the mix, then you also have to give and see that as some sort of community that you're a part of. Now, in all fairness to Quad, guys, you guys know I'm very fair on this channel, so I look at both sides. In all fairness to Quad, some of the people in the group have missed the mark when it comes to Dr. G and Quad's relationship. I feel like a lot of them took up for Dr. G because they sort of felt like Quad was being selfish in a lot of the relationships. And I feel like that then trickled down to Quad not feeling like a part of the sisterhood. Now, let's be honest, Quad has done a lot of things. If we remember the sister circle moment and, before she met them, she never had these group of friends and that way this. Nobody wants to hear that, especially if they're trying to be a friend to you. And so it is no wonder why no one wants to call her, right? And then to now say in front of them, like, you're just here for the check, no one wants to feel like they're being used. Even if they know they are being used, they don't want to feel like that. They want to feel like if something is going on in their lives, you will show up. If something is going on in your life, you will tell them so they can show up, right? It's like acquaintances. And I feel like Quad needs to learn the art of, you don't have to be friends with people to, if for instance, I was on social media now and I saw someone I follow that I engage with every once in a while going through something, I will reach out and be supportive. That is what you do. You don't have to be friends with someone to try to rally around them in time of need, even if you are going through your own ish. And I think that is another thing that I didn't like when Quad said. Quad was like, she was going through her own ish. I don't like when people say that. I don't like when people use that as an excuse. I'll give you an example. In my personal life, there was someone that was one of my best friends. But it almost felt like every time I needed her to show up for me, there was always an excuse. Something is going on. Something is wrong. I'm going through my own ish. So she never, ever really been there for things that mattered. Like, for instance, maybe birthdays, when my grandma passed, there wasn't, enough, like there was barely anything, right? For a while. And I had to just say, okay, why is it that you choose things that are important to me to show out or to not show up, right? At that point, you have to decide whether or not you will want to continue that relationship. And so I understand that, right? Like, for instance, now I'm not saying here it's a best friend kind of situation, but it's a situation where even if we're just friendlies, right? If something is going wrong and you find out we're in the same community, just a text would have worked. A group text is not good enough, in my opinion. Even if you heard the story that Heavenly said about you potentially being involved, you could have just said, direct message, send a voice note. If you don't want to call because you're scared of the implications, send a voice note, send a message, send flowers, right? Do those things, right? To at least, even not for it, the person does not have to be your friend. And this is how we cultivate relationships. We don't have to be friends for you to know certain things that we should do just as basic humans, right? And so constantly saying I was going through my stuff does not make any difference. In this life, you will always be going through something. Right? So you can't use that excuse to not show up for your friends. It doesn't make any sense. A text message there, flowers there, whatever it is you can do it. Not in the group chat. Not good enough. Anyways, let's move on to Simone and Quad. Now, this was extremely problematic. It was extremely hard to watch. Simone started off good and then she went on a shouting match, which I did not like. I like when people can be a little bit more calmer in the way they present their hurt, their anger. That's just what I prefer, because I feel like it gets in more than when you're shouting. It takes over. Even if you're right, you look like the crazy person. Now, did Simone have some good points, valid points? Yes. Was the fact that she was shouting make her look like a mean girl? Yes. And this is the problem. You cannot do and behave like that, right? And expect people to see you as an angel. That's not going to happen, even if you meant well. We have to be very careful in the way in which we present ourselves. And this is one thing, for instance, I would love Sweet Tea to learn as well whilst on the show, which is being able to articulate your upset, your anger without really, bucking in that sense, right? Say what you want about Miss Quad, but she is able to do that. Phaedra is able to do that. Jackie is able to do that. Jackie might get other people to do her dirty work, but she knows how to, on camera, act a certain way. And I feel like some of these women should take notes, especially if you do not want to be seen as the villain. If you don't mind being the villain, then absolutely go for it. Do whatever you feel is right. But unless you have a personality where when you start getting the heat, you can handle it. Unless you have that kind of personality, being a villain is not going to work for you. Because I have been seeing the comments lighting Simone on fire. Literally, people were not liking Simone at all because of the screaming match. Now, let's talk about the content. If you forget her screaming for a minute. Now, of course, I've said it's wrong. Let's be clear. There's no condoning of that behavior here. However, if you listen to what she was saying, when have you called me to show support? I can give you examples. You give me one example. I would have loved for Quad to sit down and think, where is the one example? And then give her one example if that existed. But I'm concerned that it may not exist. And this is the thing. Sometimes you have to sit down and evaluate yourself. What you want from people, do you yourself give it? Because I'm sure Quad wants love and support, but does she give love and support? You have to give to receive. Right? This is why givers never lack. This is why givers, they give their love, they give their attention, they give their time, and somehow that comes back to them, right? Because they invest in people. But Quad, you don't, because you don't really take these women as your friends, and I understand that. But I feel like there's another level where you get to with co-workers that you spend a lot of time with. Don't get it twisted. None of them are your friends. But for the kind of show that this is, it requires a little bit of networking. That is what I will call it, which I think Quad has not yet mastered. Now, let's talk a little bit about what Simone said. She said, even when there are no cameras, I was there for her. She was listing examples of when she was there for Quad. Now, she was right until she decided to bring up that tragic incident that happened with Quad. I did not appreciate that. Quad did not appreciate that. Quad told her to stop. I don't even think Dr. Simone heard it. I think she was so neck deep in what she was saying, I didn't even think she heard Quad say no. Or don't do it. I don't think she heard it. And yes, I agree, Dr. Simone took it too far. In that moment, she should have held her peace and said, even when the tragic incident happened, I'm not going to say what it is on camera, but I was there for you. Those are the things that she should say. And it's interesting that Quad actually admitted and said, yes, you were there for me. What I also wonder is, was Quad and for that she's grateful. Did Quad ever express that to Dr. Simone? Because what I get from Dr. Simone's energy is very much given someone who feels like I've gone to bat for you. I feel not appreciated, underappreciated. I feel like you don't give two hoots about me. Even when things are going on in my life, you don't support me. You don't treat me like a friend, but you want me to treat you like a friend. And that's the energy that I was getting from Dr. Simone. And her energy is valid. However, she took it too far. And she should not have. I think it was extremely insensitive, her going to that extent, not thinking about the impact on Quad or anyone else. I was there in that moment where Quad was crying, and I felt so deeply for her. I love that Phaedra was there to embrace her and sort of, help her with that. Nobody else seemed to care. And I was like, girl, the hurt runs deep. I say this to say, Quad, those women don't like you. And you don't like them. I feel like you want to be around them for the check, but then you've been so open about it being for the check that they don't want you to be around them. So the way to go about it, if you want to consider it, would be to, I would say, the person I think you need to work on is Toya. The person I think you need to work on is Toya. Toya gets angry, says what she has to say, but because you took it too far with her and did not apologize properly, she did not receive it. But look at how she's able to get back in good graces with Anila. That is someone that is forgiven if you apologize. So if I were you, if I'm trying to get back in with the group, someone who has enough pull in the group is Toya. Toya is enough of a strong personality in the group to get you back in there. I'm just saying. So if you're looking for who to sweeten the deal with, I would say Toya. Especially because Heavenly has no alliance or allegiance to anybody but Dr. Jackie. So she will talk about you like a dog. She has no allegiance. Of course, be cordial with Heavenly. But I think Toya is the one you need to get back in the group. Especially because Dr. Simone is now writing for Toya. Sweet Tea and Toya are cool. Jackie is not really going to come for Toya like that. Let's be honest. She knows Toya will light her ass, right? Think about it. So the strong candidates in there would be Toya. And the thing with Simone is, if you're friends with Toya and you're cool with Toya, because she's cool with Toya, she'll be cool enough with you. I'm just saying, if you want back in, that's the strategy. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about this reunion. Was there anything you guys agree with or disagree with? Let me know in the comment section. And of course, if there's anything you think I didn't cover that you guys thought was interesting, please let me know in the comment section below and let's talk about it. And please don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, make sure you tap that bell for notifications, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you. Bye.